All right, so tonight's going to be the fine arts section. We're going to be going through the theater, PE, and health sections. All right, so it's the first section we're going to talk about is our theater section. I keep in mind the fine arts section of the test is the smallest section. It's going to have the least amount of questions. So each of these competencies doesn't have a lot of material. So our theater section, they want to make sure you understand the concepts and processes and skills involved in creating, appreciating, and evaluating theater. So pretty much, how are you going to teach theater? What are the main concepts of theater? And why is all this important? All right, so I am actually going to share a YouTube video because I'm a very big believer in not recreating the wheel. If somebody out there does it and does it amazing, I'd rather share what they have and then I'll go through and supplement and add some more to it. But I feel like this video gives you a really good background on theater and help teach you all the terms.
Welcome to Theater Elements, taken from the VAPA Standards and Framework. Theater structure. The overall framework or method organizes the dramatic material, the conflict, and/or the action. It establishes themes. There's a clear beginning, middle, and end, and the pattern of complication includes rising action, climax, and resolution, working from cause to effect. The elements of theater include things like literary elements, technical elements, and performance elements. These elements can be analyzed and evaluated. Literary elements include plot, character, exposition, story organization, conflict, suspense, theme, language, and style. Plot structure refers to the stage of events that take place in a play. It starts with an initial incident, which gets the story going. It moves on to the preliminary event, which takes place before the action, directly related to the play. Then we see the rising action. It's the series of events following the initial incident that lead up to the dramatic climax. Then we have the climax, which is the turning point or high point of the story, where events could go either way. Then we have the falling action, which is a series of events following the climax, followed by the denouement, or the unraveling, and conclusion. Character refers to a person portrayed in a drama, novel, or other artistic piece. Exposition refers to the who, when, where, and what part of the play. Story organization refers to the beginning, middle, and end. Conflict refers to the internal or external struggle between opposing forces, ideas, or interests, and creates dramatic tension. Suspense is the feeling of uncertainty as to the outcome, and it builds interest and excitement. Theme refers to the basic idea of a play, the idea, the point of view, or perception that binds together a work of art. Language refers to the particular manner of verbal expression, the diction or style of writing, speech or phrasing, suggesting class, profession, or type of character. Style refers to the shaping of dramatic material, settings, costumes in a deliberately non-realistic manner. Some other definitions that are important to know include soliloquy, a speech made by a single actor who is alone on stage. A monologue is a long speech made by one actor. A monologue may be delivered alone or in the presence of others. Dialogue refers to conversation between actors. Technical elements include things like scenery or set, including the theatrical equipment, curtains, flats, backdrops, or platforms used in a dramatic production to communicate environment. Costumes, things like clothing and accessories worn by the actors to portray the character and period. Props, short for properties, any movable object that appears on a stage during a performance, with the exception of costumes or scenery. It's used as part of the dramatic production. Lights. The placement, intensity, and color of lights help communicate environment, mood, and feeling. Sound. Affects an audience hear during a performance to communicate character, context, and environment. Makeup. Costumes, wigs, and body paint used to transform an actor into a character. Performance elements include acting, the use of face, body, and voice to portray character. Character motivation, the reason or reasons for a character's behavior, an incentive or inducement for further action for a character. Character analysis, in responding to dramatic art, the process of examining how the elements of drama, literary, technical, and performance are used. Empathy, the capacity to relate to the feelings of another. Speaking, the mode of expression or delivery of lines. Breath control involves the use of lungs or diaphragm for maximum capacity and efficiency of breath for speaking. Vocal expression refers to how actors use the voice to convey character. Inflection indicates a change in pitch or loudness of the voice. Projection is how well the voice carries. Speaking style is the expression or delivery of lines, and diction is the pronunciation of words and the clarity of speech. Nonverbal expression includes things like gestures, body alignment, facial expression, character blocking, and movement.
All right. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to restart that. I know that was a little boring, so we're going to go back there and talk about some of the items. I just like that because it gives you so much quick information. It gives you a ton of information in one easy spot to find it.
Welcome.
All right, so with theater, the real big key is perception. The whole thing about theater is how is everything in the show being perceived. So perception is the audience's understanding of a performance, and it's shaped through the various elements and conventions of theater. So, what are the different elements when I say elements of theater? So the first thing we have is plot. We all know plot means our storyline. What's happening in the story? Character, who's in the story? Who are your good guys? Who are your bad guys? Who's just in the sidelines? I don't know why none of my notes. Theme. Does the story have a theme? What are they trying to portray? Dialogue is going to be the conversation between the characters. We all know that music can definitely play a big part. Even if you're just watching a scary movie, odds are that they play different music right before the something bad's about to happen, and that's how you know something bad's about to happen. You hear that music. And then spectacle, what do you see? All right, so our conventions of theater. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I'm missing a page of my notes. It's because I ain't reading. All right. So our stage direction. This is going to be the instructions in the script for the actors. It's going to tell them how they move. Are they moving left? Are they moving right? Are they coming forward? What are they physically doing? The set design is going to be the physical surrounding in which the action takes place. This is going to be what you see with your eyes in the background. Lighting is going to be how they use the light to create mood and to highlight action. For example, they may move a camera to highlight a certain part of the set so that you know that that's important. That's where they want your eyes to see. You also notice a lot of times they'll use the darkness or really bright to tell you if something's supposed to be happy or sad. Another thing that you use is going to be sound. The use of audio elements to enhance the performance. We know costumes can help set the scene as well. This is going to be the clothing and accessories that are worn by the actors to help them portray the current character. All right, so how do we promote the enjoyment and understanding, and why is this important? We want to make sure that our students are engaged in the theater. Engaging students in the theater art helps them foster a love for the subject and helps enhance their learning. Anytime we can get them engaged, it's going to help enhance their learning. Be it theater, math, reading, we want our students engaged. Engagement is also going to lead to better participation and creativity on their part. So how are we going to do this? We're going to do this through active participation. That means we're encouraging students to participate in improvising and role playing. We're trying to get them acting out things. We're also going to give them a variety of activities. So we want to use a mix of activities such as drama games, script reading, and performances to help get them to try it out. We want to make connections to students. Most kids, if you ask them in your class, they've never been to a theater production. They have no clue what that is, especially in the lower grades. So we want to relate the theater activities to the students' lives and their interests and help make them interested in it. Whenever we're selecting the materials and activities, we want to make sure, as always, we're choosing age appropriate and diverse materials. We want to make sure we're including a range of genres and styles. You don't want to always be doing the same kind of play. And we want to ensure that the materials reflect various cultures and perspectives. We always got to make sure we're being diverse in everything we do. So our different elements of theater. We know dramatic play. This is gonna encourage the creativity and the imagination. This is when we're getting our students to do the role playing and the storytelling. We're letting them use their imagination to come up with their stories. Expressive movement is whenever they're using their body language, gestures, and choreography. It's going to help convey emotions and actions without using words. For example, if you want to show someone that you're sad, how are you going to do that with your body? Because you're not just going to say I'm sad. What are you going to do physically to show them that? Another element of theater is voice. This is going to be we're going to teach them the importance of projection, making sure that their voice is loud enough to be heard. Diction, how are they, and expression. So what are they saying and how are they saying? We also want to teach them techniques to improve their vocal performance. So characterization is creating and developing believable characters. We've all read books at this point in our time, and there's probably books you can think about where the characters were amazing. Those people felt real in the story. And then there's other books or movies that you watch and that person briefly shows up or there's no depth to that character. You don't know who that person is, you don't know anything about them. You don't know, you couldn't decide what choices they're going to make because you don't know that character. You haven't fell in love with that character or learned to hate that character yet. We want to but for your characters, you want to make sure you understand their motivations, their backgrounds, and relationships. All right, theater occupations. And I actually have a whole slide on those, so it's easier to go over them. All right, so our actor. Most of us know what an actor is. This is going to be the person that's going to perform on stage. Our director is going to oversee the creative aspects of the production. Our playwright is going to write the script, so they're writing your story. Your designer is going to create the sets, costumes, lighting, and sound. And then your technician is going to handle the technical aspects of the production. So that's going to be your lights. That's going to be making sure that everybody's in the right spot. That's going to be your sound. That's all going to be your technician. All right, so integrating theater. What this is how are we going to use theater in different subjects? Especially when you're in elementary, a lot of your subjects, you have to kind of run them together in order to make sure that they're being integrated and so you have time for everything. So we're going to look at the benefits. It's going to enhance the learning in other subjects. It's going to provide a creative approach to understanding the different concepts, but it's also going to encourage this interdisciplinary learning and collaboration so that they're actually pulling and learning that all of these things are connected. So some different ways we can do it, and I just listed these briefly to make it easy. So like language art, you could easily perform scenes from a book you're reading that let the students act it out so that they can understand it better. For social studies, you could have them acting out some historical events to try and bring it to life. For science, they could even be dramatizing their scientific concepts. Okay, let's pretend we're the water in the water cycle. What are we going to do first? And let them practice acting that out and use their imagination to understand it better. Technical elements of theater. Your properties are your props. These are going to be your objects that are used on stage by the actor. They're going to enhance the realism and support the action. For example, you might be swords and they're having a sword fight. Your scenery is going to be your visual background and setting. This is going to help establish the time and the place of the action. Sound is obviously your music, your sound effects. but also your amplification, how loud it or quiet it is. It's going to enhance the mood, atmosphere, and the realism. Your costumes, we know, are them either clothing and accessories that are worn by actors. They're going to help reflect the character's personality, their status, and the historical period. The lighting is going to illumination to highlight action or create the mood, and it's going to direct the audience focus and enhance the visual storytelling. All right, well, let's go into some of the other theoretical theatrical elements. Characterization. We know that you're going to use costumes and props to define the characters. For example, if you were to have a pirate costume and you know he's a swashbuckling character, you might see a sword, you might see the eye patch. It's going to help you know who he is and what type of person he is. Your mood, you're going to use that lighting and sound to create the atmosphere. So, for example, you might have dim lighting and eerie music if you want it to be a really suspenseful scene. For the theme, you're going to use visual and auditory elements to highlight the central message. For example, you might use patriotic colors and music in a play about national pride. For the setting, you want to make sure you're creating a realistic or imaginative environment with the scenery and props. For example, you might have a really detailed set design of a medieval castle if you're trying to do a historical play. And if y'all have questions, feel free to stop me at any time. I know I'm going through this kind of fast. All right, so let's get into some questions. That way we can practice putting in some of this into effect. Traditionally, visual artists have participated in performing arts in all but which of the following ways? All right, so what do we need to highlight, guys? I would highlight this visual artist because we know that might be important. And then I would definitely also highlight this all but because that's going to tell us we're looking for the one that's excluded, the one that's not true. Get my pen. All right, so designing costumes. Is that going to have an effect on the visual performance? Yeah,
Yes.
we know the costumes definitely are going to can make or break it visually. How about the makeup?
Yes.
Yep, we know that can affect the visual appearance of the show. How about designing the sets?
Yes, as well.
Yes.
Yep. How about the casting performers?
No.
No, that's not going to affect it visually as much because we know makeup and costumes and all that can do a lot for a person. You look at any famous person and you know that makeup and costumes can definitely change who they are and make them look like someone else. All right, let's look at our next one. A class of third graders watches as an onstage performer stomps her feet when she doesn't get what she wants. The third graders understand that the actress is expressing anger because they have grasped the concept of what? All right, what do we want to highlight, guys?
Third graders.
Third graders, because we're always going to do that grade level first, because it can sometimes change your answers. All right, what else?
The actress is expressing anger.
Okay, we know she's showing anger. How does she show this anger?
By
Stomps her
stomping.
feet.
All right, she stomps her feet. And they want to know, what is this showing? What kind of concept is this? All right, so let's look at each of these individually. What about kinetics? What does kinetics show?
That's movement, isn't it?
Yeah, kinetics means movement. So she's stomping her feet. Does that mean that she's just showing movement? Do we
She
like
is
that one
mov-
just like that?
She is moving, but you wouldn't interpret that as anger.
Right. So this does show movement, but it does not have an emotion attached to it. All right. How about nonverbal communication?
Yes.
Okay, we like that one. All right. How about gesturing?
I don't think so.
No. When we think of gesturing, we think more of like pointing, and it usually does not have it's a body movement that doesn't have an emotion attached. I can point at you and you don't know if I'm happy, if I'm sad. It doesn't have that kind of emotion attached to it. All right, how about body language?
No,
Why?
because like when I think of body languages, I'm thinking like someone has their arms crossed.
Okay, that's a great example. So body language is going to relate to your positioning and how a person feels internally as opposed to what the person wants to communicate.
Hmm.
So their body language may actually show a nonverbal communication, but it's more about their positioning instead of what they're feeling internally. They're not usually doing it intentionally. All right, so our definite answer here is going to be our nonverbal communication. Although every audience is different, it's important to teach students audience etiquette. All of the following are universally appropriate rules to follow when attending a performance, except what do we want to highlight?
Except
Yep, except. Anything else?
Appropriate rules.
Yeah, so we're looking for some appropriate rules, right? I'm even going to highlight universally because we know these are rules accepted by everyone. All right, so what do we think of the first one? Avoid speaking under all circumstances. We like it, dislike it, not sure.
I like it, but I kind of remember this question.
You remember this one from before?
Yes.
All right. So let's look at the rest of them. Do not bring electronic gadgetry into a performance. Would we want our students doing that?
No,
No, that's not something we want to do. No phones, cell phones, nothing distracting. How about avoid falling asleep?
you don't want that.
Nope, no, I can't think of any reason we want our students falling asleep during the performance. How about unwrapping candy?
You don't want that either.
Nope, all of those can be distracting to the performers, and they're not good etiquette. They're rude. I mean, to be short, they're really rude. What gets us here is this word all. Even though all of these answer choices, yeah, most of the time we don't want our students speaking, but there are exceptions to the rules. If the characters are doing a callback where they want the audience to respond, maybe they don't understand something, it's perfectly acceptable for them to quietly ask a neighbor for clarification. So we want to make sure that because of this word all, that's going to make that the correct answer. As it relates to set design and scenery, a flat is. I love this one because we're going to see questions like on on the test sometimes where you're like, wait a minute, this is not a term you just taught me. We did not discuss this at all. And you're going to see a couple questions like that on the test if I'm truthful. No matter how much I teach you, no matter how much you study, you're going to see a term on the test you've never seen before. It happens. So what we want to do is we want to figure out what can we rule out and how can we make a good guess on this question. All right. So as it relates to the set design and scenery, a flat is, all right. If I were highlighting on this one, I know it's something to do with set design and scenery and the word flat, which I don't know what it is. All right, so let's look at our answer choices. A set that resembles an European apartment. What do we think of that one?
I don't think so.
No, even though a European apartment is called a flat, that doesn't sound right. All right, a portion of flat scenery usually framed in wood and wrapped in canvas. What do we think of
Maybe.
that one?
Maybe.
Maybe. It does use the word flat in the definition, so I mean, maybe if it's a flat scenery, maybe they do call that a flat. Right. A small piece of flat scenery hinged to another piece of flat scenery.
I don't know.
Okay, we don't know if that one's right or not because our idea of using the word flat in it kind of fell apart because that would use flat too, right? That was just
Mhm.
flat scenery too. All right. A hinged metal plate used for suspending scenery. And I
No.
misspelled scenery there. No. That one's a little more of a stretch. Okay, I'm not sure how that one could be called flat. All right. So even if we didn't have any clue on this one, we'd have a 50% chance of guessing. Even if you are world's worst guesser, if you have a 50% chance of guessing, you're going to get some of the questions right. So I'm actually going to give you these terms just because we haven't seen them. A small piece of flat scenery hinged to another piece. This one's actually called a flipper, because you can flip the scenery to the other side. This one I did not save it. So this one right here is going to be our correct answer. A flat is a piece of flat scenery that's framed in wood and usually wrapped in cloth or canvas. But yeah, with questions like this, you're just going to have to pretty much, what can I eliminate? How can I get close to the right answer? And then you get to guess which one of these is probably the right answer. I'm going to, whoops, I meant to delete that before I look at the next slide. All right, so in order to effectively educate students of a diverse background, a drama teacher might do which of the following? All right, so what do I want to highlight here?
Diverse backgrounds.
All right, diverse backgrounds. So we know our answer choice needs to have something to do with diversity. All right, anything else we need to highlight? Are we ready to move to the answer choices? All right, let's look at our answer choices. Are there any of them that stick out to you that you immediately say, hey, we need to eliminate that? Or hey, that choice looks amazing?
It's probably not C. I'm sure there's an answer.
All right, none of the answers are appropriate. Is never a drama teacher's responsibility. Wouldn't we like that if that was our option? Sorry, principal, it's not my job to be diverse. I don't have to teach diversity. That's not my job.
Mm. And then I wouldn't do B either because you don't want them to be doing an oral report.
No, this is kind of the opposite. Why are we going to single out those minorities and try to get them to do a divorce? Okay, you're different. I want you to stand up in front of the class and tell everybody why you're different.
Mm-hmm. And then I wouldn't do D because you're just singling out someone and not doing like a diversity.
Yeah, once again, now we've made it so that our whole play is white students. We're going to take all those minority roles and make sure we assign them to white students. I mean, typecasting is just as bad, but we definitely don't want to be doing that. So let's look at this last option. Seek out plays and scripts written by minorities. Yes. This is the same thing as whenever you're putting up your posters in your classroom or you're picking out novels to read. You don't want every doctor to be a white male in his 20s. You don't want every farmer to be a Hispanic male. We don't want every engineer to be a male. You want to show that everybody can do everything, no matter their color, no matter their race. We want to make sure we're showing that. And it's the same thing when we're doing our plays and scripts. We're intentionally picking out stuff that's written by minorities so that those students can see that they are capable as well and that they can connect with it as well. Were y'all both on the initial one where we did this question before I go through it again?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
I was.
All right, then I'm gonna go ahead and skip it because there's no reason to do the same question again if y'all remembered it. All right, mood and setting can often be confused with one another. What is the main distinction between the two terms? So this one's going directly off vocabulary. They want to know you have mood and setting, and how are they different? So let's go through our choices and see what we think. Mood is created by the characters and their actions. Setting is the physical location of the play. What do we think about that? I'm just going to divide this up.
Probably.
All right, since it breaks it into two sentences, I want us to look at each sentence separately. Mood is created solely by the characters and their actions. Even if you haven't ever seen a play, I want you to think of a movie. The movies you've watched, is it only the characters and their actions that create the mood? How do you know a scary movie is scary?
By the scenery?
Yeah, they might have scenery, they might have music, but it's not just the characters and actions, right? Since that part is wrong, that means this whole question, this whole answer choice is wrong. We can automatically eliminate it. Okay. Sensory details determine the mood, allowing the audience to feel certain emotions. Setting is what the audience sees in terms of set design. Right?
I like that one.
We like that one? All right, let's put a
Yes.
check mark. Well, let's keep going just in case. Mood is created by a lighting designer, while setting is created by a set designer.
That's probably true, but it's not like the whole definition between those two.
Okay. That's not the big distinction. What else can set mood?
Well, we just said that the scenery can set the mood, the actions of the characters can set the mood.
Yeah, all those different things we hear, we see, we feel, all those different things can help set the mood. So it's not going to be just the lighting designer. So since that part's wrong, that makes this whole thing wrong. All right. Setting is entirely dependent on the mood. They cannot exist without one another.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Well, like I said, the characters also their well, the way that the characters act can also set in a mood to the audience.
Yeah. So our setting can help determine the mood, but setting is concrete. It's what the audience actually sees and hears. The mood is abstract. It's a little bit harder of a concept as you're teaching your students because they can't necessarily see it. It's how it makes you feel. So it's teaching those feelings. So they are independent. They can't, it's not entirely dependent. That word entirely makes us screw it up. All right, so we know that this one right here is going to be our correct choice. That our sensory details determine the mood and allow you to feel certain emotions. The setting is what the audience sees in terms of set design. All right. And that is it for theater. We're going to go ahead and move forward to health. And I guess so. Health is going to be the understanding of the. We're going to make sure we understand the intersection of fine arts and health education. It's important for us to understand and create a supportive and holistic learning environment for our students. We want to make sure that our educators are equipped with knowledge about mental health, emotional expression, and arts, and how to integrate and address the diverse needs of our students while promoting the overall well-being. And that sounds like a mouthful, but I promise you it's not. I started out with this slide because I really liked it. What is the difference in health and wellness? Health is going to be your elements of medical condition, anything that requires medical care. This is going to be your doctor's side. Your wellness is going to be your knowledge and the action you take to improve your health. And then, of course, they're going to meet in the middle with medical conditions and care that contributes to wellness. Because we know if you're taking good care of your health, or if you're taking good care of your body and your wellness, you're going to have good health. You're going to be less likely to have those medical conditions, certain medical conditions. Some are not preventable, but some are. All right, so what is mental health? Mental health is going to refer to people's ability to cope with the pressures and demands of daily life. We hear a lot about mental health nowadays. It's a very, very popular term. And you hear, I mean, it's a good thing that we're really bringing up more. So we want to make sure that mental health is going to encompass that emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It's going to influence how individuals think, feel, and act, and impacting their ability to cope with stress, relate to others, and make decisions. Why is this important? Mental health is important because it's going to, if, sorry, my mouth's getting tongue-tied. Mental health is integral to the academic success, personal development, and overall quality of life of the students, but also of us as teachers. It's going to affect the students' ability to learn, form relationships, and navigate their challenges effectively. Can they function? Because if students struggling with their mental health, they're going to struggle with everything else because that's got to come first. So some common mental health disorders that you might have to deal with. Anxiety disorders. Examples would include like generalized anxiety disorders, social anxiety disorders, panic disorders. Some of the symptoms of this might be like excessive worry, restlessness, physical symptoms such as rapid heart beating or sweating. Then we have depression. This is often characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, loss of interest, or pleasure in doing things. And some symptoms might include a change in appetite or sleep patterns, fatigue, difficult concentrating. You notice this child's just different. You can tell something is off, something is wrong. They're not themselves. So, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. This one we hear of a lot in our classrooms and we see a lot. Most of us are real common with this. It's going to be involve difficulty sustaining attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. This means this child is impulsive. Symptoms may manifest as difficulty following instructions, excessive fidgeting, or maybe they're just interrupting others constantly. Eating disorders, we don't see this as much in the lower grades as they do in the middle or high school, but it does exist. Some examples would include anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorders. These disorders involve unhealthy behaviors and attitudes towards food and their body image, potentially leading to severe physical and psychological consequences. Why does all this matter? Or we want to make sure we are recognizing the signs and symptoms of our students. We spend 8 to 10 hours a day with our students, so we need to honestly, you probably spend more hours with them than some of their parents do. So we're going to notice things before their parents do. So you want to look for changes in behavior. These are going to be noticeable changes in the behavior patterns, such as an increased irritability, aggression, or withdrawal from activities. Mood swings, which are rapid fluctuations in their mood. This might include sudden shifts from extreme highs to extreme lows. Social withdrawal, which is the avoidance of social interactions and isolation from their peers or activities that they previously enjoyed. Like maybe they used to love playing football with their friends on the playground, and suddenly Susie doesn't want to play. She just wants to sit on the sidelines. She will not become involved. So we want to start asking those questions of why. Academic struggles, such as decline in academic performance, difficulty concentrating, or lack of motivation to complete assignments. Physical symptoms, such as they're complaining about headache, stomach ache, or fatigue, that may indicate underlying emotional distress. All right, we want to make sure we're creating a supporting environment for our students. And we do this by helping fostering a sense of belonging. You want to establish a classroom culture that values the diversity, inclusivity, and acceptance of all students. We want them all to feel happy and loved in our classrooms. We want to promote open communication. We want to encourage our students to express their thoughts, feelings, and provide opportunities for dialogue about mental health topics. We want to provide resources and support services. So we want to be able to connect our students and families with school counselors, mental health professionals, community resources for additional support. And a lot of that will come from your counselors. It's not all on your back. Our role as educators is we want to advocate for our students' mental health needs, promote resilience, and provide that safe and nurturing learning environment. When you see something's wrong, you're speaking up, you're trying to do something about it. You're not just ignoring it. All right, so how do we promote mental wellness? We're going to do this through mindful exercises. We're going to teach our students how to manage their stress. We're going to incorporate social emotional learning activities in our daily classrooms. We're also going to use whatever curriculum you're given to help with your mental wellness. That's going to vary from school to school. All right, legal and ethical considerations, because we got to talk about the law sometimes. Student confidentiality. You want to make sure you understand legal and ethical obligations regarding your students' confidentiality and privacy rights, while also recognizing the importance of sharing information with the people that need to know for their safety and well-being. As a teacher, you are a mandated reporter, so that's you need to familiarize yourself with the mandated reporting laws, which we're going to talk about, and procedures for suspected cases of abuse and neglect, imminent harm. We also have to make sure we're following our accommodations. So understanding the legal requirements under IDA and the 504s for providing accommodations and support for students with mental health conditions. All right, signs of abuse. Like I said on the other slide, you are a mandated reporter. So whenever you see something or suspect something, you're not supposed to investigate. It's not our job to investigate, it's our job to speak up. So anytime you notice excessive bruising or frequent bruising, you notice that students coming to school smelling like pot, they're coming to school in the same clothes every day or consistently dirty. They're one of the students in our class last semester would come to school starving every morning. Like he came in, he would eat breakfast and still be starving. So it's stuff like that it's not our job to investigate. It's our job to go to tell. We can ask those open-ended questions, but we always believe our students, we always listen to them, and then we report. And much to most people's disbelief, your first obligation isn't to report it to the counselor or principal, even though they do ask that you give them a heads up just so they know to expect a phone call. It's your job to make that phone call to report the neglect or abuse. And the first time you have to make one of those phone calls, if you ask, somebody will help you. I've never heard of somebody of a principal or counselor that wouldn't help. All right, so off of that horrible subject, let's get on to nutrition. We know nutrition's important. We want to make sure that it plays a crucial role in maintaining our health and well-being. So we want to make sure that adequate nutrition supports our growth and development, immune function, and cognitive performance. We know that poor nutrition can lead to various health problems, including obesity, malnutrition, and chronic disease. So there's some basic concepts of nutrition. Macronutrients are going to be your carbohydrates, proteins, fats. These are going to make up your energy and essential nutrients. Your micronutrients are going to be your vitamins and minerals. They're going to be necessary for psychological functions such as metabolism, immune function, bone health. In order to have a balanced diet, you want to make sure you're including variety of food from all the different food groups. And we want to emphasize the fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, stuff you've probably heard your whole life. Some strategies for promoting our healthy eating. We're going to teach our students about the importance of making healthy food choices and understanding food labels. We're going to set a positive example by modeling healthy eating habits in the classroom and school environment. And we're going to engage students in cooking demonstrations, meal planning exercises, and taste tests to promote food literacy and encourage healthy eating. All right, so the 6 essential nutrients. And I like this chart. It's easy to take a picture of because it's going to tell you the basic facts about each of them and why they're important. So carbohydrates, their main function is going to be they're your primary energy source. You can get those from fruits, vegetables, and grains. Protein's job is to build and repair tissues. You can get those from meat, fish, and beans. Fats are going to be your long-term energy and your cell growth. And you get those from oil, nuts, and avocados. Vitamins are going to be for metabolism and immune function. You can get those from fruits, vegetables, and dairy. And these are not their only sources. These are just some of their main ones. Your minerals are going to be your bone health and fluid balance. You can get those from dairy, meats, and fruit. Water is going to be vital for all your bodily functions. And of course, you can get it from drinking water, fruits, or vegetables. So a balanced diet is going to include all 6 of these nutrient habits. We know how to feed our body, so now let's talk a little more about the body. We talked about it a little in the science, but because it's also considered part of health, I want to include it here as well. I'm not going to read through all this for you, but the ones on the right side are going to be your main ones that you need to know. They're the ones that are most likely to show up whenever I was looking through the test questions. And I tried to make sure it included the main thing you need to know about each system. All right, physical activity. So we know that physical activity means you're getting up and being active. So physical activity is essential for maintaining overall health. It also helps reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. We want to make sure we're encouraging our students to engage in regular physical activity by incorporating movement breaks, PE classes, and also encouraging extracurricular sports. We want to make sure we're emphasizing the importance of finding enjoyable activities and incorporating physical activity into their daily routines so that they can promote lifelong habits of health and wellness. All right, so let's get to some questions. Which of the 6 essential nutrients helps build and repair tissue? What can we eliminate? What do y'all remember? I know we went through that slide real fast.
Hmm. You can probably eliminate minerals.
Okay, we can eliminate minerals. What do minerals do?
I honestly don't know.
Fats,
So minerals are going to be our bone health and fluid balance. All right, what else can we eliminate? You said fats?
fats,
Yeah. So fats are going to be our long-term energy. All right. That gets us down to carbs and proteins. Either way, we have a 50% chance, right? We see a lot of popular diets right now where they tell you to eliminate your carbs or to minimize them. But for those that tell you to minimize them, when are you supposed to eat your carbs? When do they tell you to eat them? They tell you to eat them right before you work out, right? That's because our carbs are going to be your primary source of energy.
mhm,
Your proteins are going to help build and repair the tissues, but your carbs are going to be your main source of energy. So our correct answer here is protein. All right. Involuntary body functions such as breathing, digestion, heart rate, and blood pressure are controlled by the blank system. All right, so who controls the breathing, the heart rate, digestion, blood pressure, all these things? What can we eliminate? What do we know?
You can eliminate the last one because that's about the brain.
Okay, we know the last one's our brain. And now you're like, wait a minute, all 3 of these say nervous system. Right?
Mhm.
So let's see if we can figure out what the difference is.
I think it will be the central nervous system.
Okay, why would you pick that one?
Because it has the word central. I think that is the home.
Okay. What is the central part of your body? So our central nervous system is going to be your brain and your spinal cord. As these are going to be your spinal cord is the central, runs up and down the middle part of your body, and brain being your central, where everything's your main part of function, where everything's going to return at the end. All right. So what about the other two choices? What do we think of those?
Mhm.
We have somatic or atomic. What does this word right here look like to you?
Would that be like automatically?
Yeah, it kind of looks like automatic, right? So these are going to be the parts of your nervous system that work automatically. They don't require any thought or effort on your part. So do you think breathing, digestion, heart rate, and blood pressure would fall under this category?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So the somatic, which you probably will never actually have to use that term in a normal life, that's going to be the nerves that link the brain and the spinal cord. But for me, I would have been like, okay, I can eliminate this one. I might have remembered that central has to do with the brain and spinal cord. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how far in the test that question came. But the real thing right here is that this right here, the atomic or autonom I can't even say the word today. Autonom. We know this is going to be something that happens automatically. I'm say, okay, I don't really think about breathing. I don't think about digestion. If I did, I would probably try to speed that up to help myself lose weight faster. I'd probably work on lowering my heart rate if I had any control of that. But all of those things happen automatically. So that's going to make that one our correct answer. And I don't know why I turned that off before I deleted the notes. All right, so let's go to our next question. Foods that are rich in fiber include turkey and shellfish, yogurt and eggs, beans and whole wheat bread, skim milk and orange juice.
Beans and whole wheat bread.
All right, you like that one the best?
Yes.
I agree.
So yeah, that's going to be our correct answer. We know those include a lot of fiber. All right. Which of the following behaviors is associated with reducing the risk of chronic disease, except? Of course, I'm going to highlight that except because I want to make sure especially if I'm later in the test, I'm paying attention to that and not just quickly saying, okay, I know this eliminates the risk and moving forward. We got to notice that except. Right. Eating a diet high in unsaturated fats. Is that going to increase or decrease the risk?
I think in reducing the risk.
Okay. How about exercising at least 150 minutes per week?
And
Reducing.
reduce.
Yeah, that's going to reduce. So we know that's not going to be the right choice. Consuming no more than 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol per day.
And that increase the risk.
Okay. How about sleeping at least 7 hours per night?
And that reduce the risk.
Yeah, that one's going to reduce as well. So we know there's only one that really doesn't have to do with reducing the risk of chronic disease. All right. Lecturing is best suited for teaching which of the following? All right. Where did my pen go? So we're talking about lecturing. Let's look at our choices. Exercises for flexibility. Are you going to want to use lecturing for that, or how are you going to want to teach that?
Mm,
I mean, it's important for them to know that it's important to exercise,
Yeah,
but I don't
that's
know.
important. But are you going to use lecturing to teach that?
I don't think so.
No, we're probably going to want to show them the different exercises. All right. How about when you're explaining the rules of a game or sport?
I think probably.
Yeah, that seems like that's something you'd want to do through lecturing. So I lost my pen again. It's way up there. Okay. How about the ethics of steroid use?
I think that no.
Okay. How would you want to teach that?
Mm,
Let's think if you're teaching high school. How are you going to convince them not to use steroids? Because you can sit up there until you're blue in the face, and that probably isn't going to work. So how are you going to convince them?
Maybe by showing some video.
So videos might work. Another thing, especially with high school students, I'd use guided discussions. Bring them into the conversation and get them talking about it. All right. How about the basic motions in a sport? So you're teaching them how to play baseball, and you're showing them how to hold the bat, and you're teaching them how to play baseball and how to bat. Are you going to stand up in front of the class and lecture?
No.
No, because they're probably not going to get it. Especially if there's someone like me, they need something more visual. So you're going to want to show them for that as well. So our only logical one here that we'd really want to lecture with is the rules and game of a sport, because you're going to have to explain those rules before you can begin. All right. Physical education. Oops. So I don't know why it's our last part of this for tonight. So we want to make sure we're understanding the goals and objectives of physical education, which is going to include promoting PE, developing their motor skills, fostering their social interactions, and instilling lifelong lessons, lifelong habits of PE. So what is our goals? We want to make sure we're promoting physical health. You're teaching your students how to be physically active and how to get up and move. That should be obvious, but sadly nowadays kids are more in tune to the tablets. We're actually having to teach students how to be physically fit, how to get up and move, because that's not something they're accustomed to as often anymore. We want our students to learn about the importance of regular exercise, proper nutrition, and healthy lifestyle choices, and how to maintain optimal physical fitness throughout their lives. We want to help them develop their motor skills. We want to teach them the fundamental motor skills such as running, jumping, throwing, catching, kicking, and striking, because these skills are going to form the foundation of their participation in various sports and physical activities. We want to foster their social interactions because PE gives them the opportunity for students to interact with their peers in a cooperative and supportive environment. Team sports, group activities, even partner exercises are going to help promote teamwork, communication, leadership, and sportsmanship. And we also want to instill that lifelong habit of physical activity. So one of the primary goals of PE is going to be to instill lifelong habits of physical activity. We want to promote a commitment to maintaining an active and healthy lifestyle, because that's going to be the best thing for them. Some of our teaching strategies. For our demonstration of skills, we can model it. We can do skill progressions, which are where skills are broken down into smaller, manageable steps. And we allow the students to master each component before progressing to more complex tasks. We want to make sure we're giving them feedback, so the teachers can provide constructive feedback and correction to help the students improve their techniques and performance. We can also allow them to have peer feedback, where we encourage peers to give feedback and self-assessment so they can foster a supportive and learning community among each other. We want to make sure we're differentiating instruction, and we hear that in every subject. Same thing in PE. You're adjusting activities to accommodate students' individual needs and abilities and learning styles. You're also providing modified equipment or assistive devices to support students with physical disabilities or limitations. And you're offering choices. You're providing options for students to choose from, allowing them to engage in activities that align with their interest in activities. Not every student can run 2 miles for you, not full speed. So you're providing them different options and ways to accomplish that goal. We want to make sure we're providing positive behavior management techniques. So we're giving them clear expectations. We're doing positive reinforcement, and we're offering conflict resolution, where we teach students strategies for resolving conflicts and disagreements, because that is something that has to be taught. I'm working with pre-K right now for the summer, and one of the things I'm constantly telling them is to try and work out their own problems, and then I'm giving them words and strategies on how to do that. Tell Sarah you did not like it when you hit her. Ask her why she hit you. And I'm teaching them how to say those things and how to ask those questions so that they can solve their own problems. All right, safety and injury prevention. We know we want to, it's very important that we're being safe. So we're going to introduce proper warm-ups and cool-downs. So for warm-ups, you might do dynamic stretching like cardiovascular activities. You want to prepare their body for the physical activity. For a cool down, we're doing more static stretches and relaxation exercises. We want to gradually decrease their heart rate and reduce their muscle tension to promote recovery. We want to teach them about using equipment properly and safely. So you're going to teach your students how to safely use the equipment and ensure proper techniques and form so that they minimize their risk of injury. We also want to make sure we're maintaining our equipment. So you're regularly inspecting and maintaining equipment to ensure it's in good working condition and free of defects. You want to make sure you're supervising your students, of course, just like we do with anything else. You're watching them to see what's going on and helping them as needed. We want to make sure we're providing strategies for injury prevention. We're going to do this by teaching them the proper technique on how to inform on how to do activities, but also progressive training. You want to gradually increase the intensity and duration of activities to allow the students to build strength, endurance, and skill gradually. You're not going to go in and have them max lift on their first day if you've never taught them how to lift a weight. You want to do it gradually, teaching them how to do it correctly first, and then slowly building up to that harder skill. So inclusion and differentiation. I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to go into detail again. But this is just making sure that you're accommodating every student of every ability. We're supporting those diverse backgrounds and fitness levels. Not every student has seen a football. They may not know how to play. So you're making sure you're including those students and teaching them so they don't feel left out. There's different assessment methods that you can use whenever you're in PE, just like we do in any other subject. Skill assessments are going to evaluate the student's proficiency in specific skills or techniques related to various sports or physical activities. Fitness testing is going to measure students' physical components such as their cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, flexibility, or their body composition. Their performance evaluation, this is going to assess the student's performance in practical tasks such as participating in a team sport, dance routine, or gymnastic exercises. Self-assessments, this is going to encourage students to reflect on their own progress, set their own goals, and monitor their own physical level and fitness improvements over time. And we want to use this assessments data to inform our instruction, just like we do with every other subject. You want to take the data analysis and actually analyze the data to identify student strengths and areas for improvement. You want to make sure you're doing individualized instruction and tailoring the instruction to each student and helping each student set goals so that they can improve their own physical fitness and skills. So the promotion of healthy lifestyles, we want to So physical education is going to play a vital role in promoting healthy lifestyles. It's going to provide students with the knowledge, skills, and experience they need to make informed choices about their health and well-being. They're going to do this through participation in regular physical activity. Students are going to develop positive attitudes towards exercise and learn the importance of staying active. And they're going to acquire lifelong habits that contribute to their overall health and fitness. All right, so cardiovascular fitness. And I try to divide this up so it's real easy to see. I try to include a lot of visuals. So cardiovascular fitness, also known as cardiovascular endurance, or you might see it referred to as aerobic fitness. It's going to be the ability of the heart, lungs, and circulatory system to deliver oxygen to working muscles during sustained physical activity. The way I've always heard, these are going to be the exercises that get your heart pumping. It's a key component of physical fitness, and it's associated with numerous health benefits, such as the reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, improved circulation, and enhanced overall endurance and stamina. So some of the benefits of the cardiovascular disease, it's going to give you reduced risk of chronic diseases, improved heart health, improved energy and stamina. It is going to help with weight management. Our exercise is going to be divided into two different types. They can be aerobic or anaerobic. And to me, this was the easiest and quickest way to show you. Your aerobic is going to be the ones that get you moving more. They're going to be known as the cardio exercises. It's going to be any activity that increases the heart rate and breathing for an extended period. It primarily relies on oxygen to meet the energy demands. So this is going to be your running, swimming, cycling, jump roping, dancing, your sports like soccer and basketball, all the stuff we had just talked about. Now, anaerobic is going to involve short bursts of intense physical activity, but you can't do it for a long period of time without resting. It's not going to rely on oxygen for energy, but rather on stored energy. So some examples that are suitable for kids would be like sprinting or jumping, weightlifting, or the interval training workouts. These are also important though because they're going to build their muscle strength, help with bone density, enhance speed and agility, and also promote metabolic health. So aerobic is going to be keep your heart moving. Anaerobic is going to be your short burst. All right, then we get into our locomotor and non-locomotor. This is a video that explains it really well.
Now let's spend a little time looking at the differences between locomotor skills and non-locomotor skills. Our bodies can move in many different ways. Moving our bodies is important to stay healthy. When we move, we are either doing a locomotor movement or a non-locomotor movement. A locomotor movement, like a train, is when you do not stay in the same place. Some locomotor movements that your body can do are dancing, galloping, jumping, running, and skipping. All of these locomotor movements take you to different places. When you are performing locomotor movements, it's important to have your own personal space or personal boundaries. You need lots of space for locomotor movements. When you run,
you need lots of space. When you skip or gallop, you need lots of space. You certainly don't want to run into someone or something. A non-locomotor movement is when your feet stay in the same place. Your upper body, though, can move in many different ways. Some non-locomotor movements that your body can do are swaying your arms like a tree, holding your arms out and twisting, stretching as far as you can reach, and swinging your arms in big circles. Remember, when you do non-locomotor skills, you don't need that much space. Unlike locomotor skills where you need lots of space. You just need to make sure when you are doing non-locomotor skills that you can't reach anything or anyone around you. You move your body every day. If you move to another place, it is locomotor movement. If you stay in the same place, it is non-locomotor movement. What are your favorite ways to move your body? Now it is time to go to the next assignment in your module. I would like to learn about all of...
All right, we're going to stop it right there. So just to recap, locomotor is going to be when your movements that involve traveling from one place to another, like you're walking, running, jumping, skipping. Non-locomotive movements are going to be movements that occur in a place without traveling. So this is your bending, stretching, twisting, swaying, anything where you don't have to move your feet. Oh, and it's not going to, come on, skip to the next slide. All right. So circuit training, this is going to involve performing a series of strength, cardiovascular, and flexibility exercises in a sequence with minimum rest in between the stations. So strength exercises are going to include body weight exercises such as push-ups, squats, or lunges. They might have resistance exercises or functional movements. The goal being to build muscular strength and endurance. Cardiovascular exercises is going to incorporate aerobic activities, or anaerobic activities to elevate the heart rate and improve cardiovascular fitness. Your flexibility exercise is going to integrate stretching exercises to improve flexibility, range of motion, and prevent injury. All right. More about circuit training. The whole thing about circuit training is we want to make sure that it has a lot of benefits. It's going to improve your overall fitness. It's going to burn calories, increase your muscle endurance, enhance cardiovascular health, promote variety and motivation. It's going to require little equipment, which is always nice. But you want to make sure you're teaching your students to do it correctly. You're teaching them that correct form. You're doing the gradual progression. You're making sure it's individualized so that students can do what they're capable of. But you're also giving them time for rest and recovery. We talked earlier about setting goals. Whenever we talk about setting goals, just like you do in your own life, you want to make sure they're SMART goals. They need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So what that means is specific, make sure the goal is clear, specific, and well defined. What do I want to accomplish? Why is it important? How will I achieve it? For measurable, we want to make sure we include criteria for measuring the progress and success and allowing children to track their own achievement and see tangible results. For example, you wouldn't say, I want to run faster. That's not measurable. But you could say, I want to decrease my mile run time by 30 seconds within the next month. That gives them something specific they can measure. With attainable, we want to make sure that the goal is realistic and attainable and consider the children's abilities, resources, and circumstances. We want to push them and stretch their capabilities, but we also don't want them to become overwhelmed. For example, instead of them setting a goal of, I want to be the best basketball player in the whole world, an achievable goal might be to make the school basketball team by practicing shooting drills for 30 minutes 3 times a week. Relevant, we want to make sure the goals are relevant and meaningful to the children's interests, values, and long-term aspirations. They should align with their personal growth and development. I mean, I could set a goal that I want to learn to play the violin, but in reality, I'm not a music person. So it's not going to push me or motivate me at all. So a relevant goal could be that to improve my guitar skills to perform at the school talent show. So time bound, we want to make sure goals have a specific time frame or deadline for completion, providing a sense of urgency and accountability. This helps our children stay focused and motivated to work towards their goals. For example, most of us have made the goal at one point in time, I want to lose weight. Well, if I never have a deadline or goal, then I don't know if I've accomplished it. I don't know if I'm making progress towards it. So we want to make sure they're setting that ended goal. We can't leave it open ended. All right, so let's get into some questions as we finish up tonight. Which of the following has been shown to foster lifelong physical activity? What do we think of those answer choices? What can we eliminate? What do we like? What do y'all think? Anything we can eliminate immediately?
Maybe having active parents.
Okay. Having active parents. It's just because your parents are active, that doesn't make you active. What about participating in organized sports? What do we think of that answer choice?
I think it will be right.
You like that one?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and move forward. How about modeling physical activity?
Mm,
Maybe.
All right. So if we show our students how to be physical, they're gonna have a lifelong they're gonna foster a lifelong love for being physical.
Mm,
Does it work just for us to model it?
mm,
Not necessarily, right? I mean, you can
mhm.
show me how to do good at basketball, but I'm not gonna play basketball for the rest of my life. That ain't gonna work for me. How about competence in physical activities?
Mm, I think that no, but because it's only a competence.
So competence means where the students feel good about it when they do it. They feel confident and feel good. If you feel confident and good about doing something, or you don't want to keep doing it,
Probably no.
I know if I feel good about something and I think I can do it well, I want to keep doing it. If I think I'm good at baseball, then I'm probably going to play a little bit longer versus if I didn't feel like I was good at it. So it's really going to bring us down to those two choices. Is it going to be this competence in physical activity or participating in organized sports?
I think competence.
As a parent, I hate this question because I'm one of those parents that I made my kids play sports from the time they were old enough. My oldest isn't going to be is going to graduate next year, but he's always played sports. I've made all three of mine stay in sports. Even my middle daughter, who hates sports and hates being active, I force her to be in organized sports. In reality, that is not going to help her have a lifelong foster a lifelong physical activity. Even though she
Mm,
hates it, I'm forcing her to do it. I wish that was the answer. I wish us putting our kids in sports was enough to foster that lifelong physical activity, but it isn't. What's going to work, and even with my own kids, the sports that they've stuck with the most are going to be the ones that they like, the ones that they feel confident in. My son is in wrestling, and he loves wrestling because he feels like he's good at it. The more competence, the more good about it he feels, the more longer he's going to do it. We're looking at colleges now, and he wants to continue wrestling through college because he feels like he's good at it. So he wants to continue it. He wants to continue that activity. So once they have a competence in that physical activity, they're going to want to continue it. So we want to make sure we're teaching them how to be confident in it. They know the rules, they know how to play, and they know how to do it well, because that's going to be what makes them want to continue in it. Which of the following accurately describes the cardiovascular activity recommendations for elementary age children? How long are kids supposed to be active a day? And this has changed since I went to school. So if you're old like me, then you know this answer is actually different than what it was when we grew up. So what can we eliminate? What do we know is wrong?
I think they have to be active more 60 minutes. I
Okay.
think.
So we know it's 60 minutes. So we know we can eliminate, oops, where'd my pen go again? It's over here. So we can eliminate the two that say 30 minutes. Because yes, it is 60 minutes. So now we're going to look, is it going to be an accumulation of 60 minutes every day or 60 minutes of continuous activity every day?
Um,
60 minutes of continuous activity every day.
All right, let's think of those 4 and 5-year-olds, because that's going to be some of our elementary age kids. Are you going to be able to get them to do 60 minutes of continuous activity every day?
No,
Can you make them run for 60 minutes a day
no,
continuously? No, why not?
they're gonna be asking for water or they're tired.
Yeah, they're going to get tired. I'm going to get tired if I have to run 60 minutes a day. But our younger children fatigue faster. So we know anything longer than 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes at a time is not developmentally appropriate. They're going to have to do it a sum of 60 minutes. Oops, where did my pen go again? So as long as they're getting that 60 minutes, even if we're breaking it into different parts of the day, that's okay. That's what we need to do for them. It needs to be broken up. When is it a good idea to have students perform circuit training? Now we're talking about circuit training. Oops. Almost. What do we like, dislike? What do we think of these answer choices?
You can eliminate the last one.
Okay. Oh, me and this mouse are about to fight. Only when students are recovering from injuries? No, that's definitely not when we want them doing circuit training. Okay. How about when they're just beginning to exercise regularly?
I think that one it will be okay.
Okay. How about at all fitness levels from beginning to advanced?
Probably not.
Why?
I feel like they're gonna be all in different levels.
Okay. How about when students are used to regular physical activity?
That one I think it will be.
Okay, we like that one too. So we want to think
Yes.
circuit training is going to involve alternating those strength activities with other strengthening activities without resting. So that means since these activities are usually really rapid and they're not taking breaks, you're not going to want to do those with beginners because they're not going to know how to do those exercises correctly yet. So we want to wait until students have been used to regular physical activity. They're used to being able to knowing how to do these exercises correctly and safely, and they're accustomed to it before we start doing our circuit training. Mhm. Which of the following is not a good way to maximize participation in PE class? So we know we want to highlight that word not. We're trying to maximize participation. All right. Let each student choose his or her own activity as long as they're being physical.
Mm,
And I think that no, it doesn't maximize participation.
Why?
No, because they are going to choose different exercise.
Okay. How about group the students according to skill level?
that would max.
You said that's a good one?
No, I'm saying that it would maximize
Okay.
participation.
I'm just going to put a plus sign so we know that's going to maximize. All right. Set up different activity stations for students to use.
Also a good way to maximize.
Yeah, that way they have some more choice. Change the rules of games to suit different skill levels.
Also another good way.
Okay. So yeah, we know the one that's going to be the worst is just letting each student choose his or her own activity. All right. So the PE class I was in that I saw a lot during my student teaching last semester did this. And some of the students were great. They went in there, they played basketball, they ran and chased each other, bounced on balls, they were doing stuff. Other students would sit against the wall and talk to their friends, or they'd walk at the very edge and when you were looking, and then when you weren't paying attention, they were just standing there. So they definitely were not participating in the class
Mhm.
because they were getting to choose to do whatever they wanted to do. Which of the following best describes how participation in PE can improve a student's self-esteem? So how are we going to improve their self-esteem? What do we think of these choices? Anything we like, dislike?
I like the first one.
Okay. What about this? So let's look at the others. It can foster a sense of wonder at at human athleticism. Like it, dislike it?
Mm,
If we're teaching them about all these famous, the way I see this one, if we're thinking about all these famous athletes that are really good at stuff, is that going to improve their self-esteem?
No.
Probably not. I played basketball in high school by the loosest definition. But if you were to show me all these famous basketball people, I wouldn't have even tried because my self-esteem was already bad. I knew I wasn't very good at basketball. So if you're going to show me how great some of these people are, how these athletes are, it's not going to help my self-esteem. It's going to make it worse. It can teach students to take turns when playing sports and games.
No.
No, doesn't really have anything to do with the question we're answering. It can cause the release of endorphins, the natural feel-good chemicals.
No.
No. So PE is going to put them in a good mood. It's going to help, but it's not, that's talking about feeling good in their mood. It's not talking about their self-esteem. It's the only one we really have that's going to answer that question is it's going to teach students new or improved skills. That's going to help them improve their self-esteem. The more they're learning and seeing that, hey, I can do this, the better their self-esteem is going to be. All right, and that is our last question of the night. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.